Hello YouTube, welcome to Soul Cleaning with Chang. And yes, I did take a day off. Although these videos were meant to be daily. Well, I made a commitment. And of course, knowing that I could make a change anytime I wanted, or I changed my mind, I wanted to give myself freedom for that and not give too much pressure on me. And so that was because I was about to abandon this whole project. And I've been talking about the move or I felt like I was being asked to make by the universe. And there has been lots of twists and turns, and I felt like at one point, I thought in line with that new move, I was going to reconsider and reset many of the commitments and routines or the projects daily, daily routines and projects that I have been planning on continuing. I was almost going to scrap it all and from start anew from a blank slate. And lots of interesting twists and turns over the course of the day. And I had to reconsider my interpretation of the signs I thought was coming from the universe. And so it was almost like I was in a maze and I was about to turn a certain direction that I thought was going to be the answer or the way out. And then I got hard blocked by a dead end. And that is just a sign from the universe that nope, this is not the right way. And of course, I had moments of despair and emotional turmoil where I thought, oh, I thought this was this is the way out, and why are you blocking me? And after that emotional processing, well, I could understand that it's just a simple feedback, and I'm still being guided. It's not like I thought I was being guided and the guidance was lost. I think I'm mature enough to acknowledge that God is with me all the time. And so, even in the midst of despair, as I shared in an earlier video, I know I can't deny, at least long term. So, I guess not more than a day at this moment, at this point in my journey, that God has abandoned me. And of course, it's I'm still human, and I am still, at least up until yesterday, want to ask, why me? Why is this happening from time to time? But it's a matter of finding your way back. Just turn away from the dead end that's in front of you. And that's how life can feel sometimes, that you're in the middle of a maze and you can't get a higher perspective, which you crave, but it's not always available. And even when you can access it for a short period of time, it's like it's so volatile. It flashes for a couple seconds and then it's gone again. So it doesn't help you that much. Anyways, I'm wearing this because it's the coldest day so far this year. Well, I guess not counting from January, but yeah, for the past couple months. Obviously, I'm in this is December, and I'm in Korea, which is in the northern hemisphere, and it's interesting. It's been a year that since an event that defined a critical moment in most Koreans' psyche, the ones who are alive, who were alive and old enough a year ago. Actually, it was yesterday. The 1 year anniversary was yesterday, and interesting that I took a day off that day, while on the day of the actual event last year, which took place in the middle of the night, and I was fast asleep. I was sound asleep, and then I woke up to the aftermath of the whole shebang, the whole event. And you may have heard of it, because it made global news, of course, and it was martial law. Martial law declared in the middle of the night, like 10 p.m., 10:30, something like that, and then got martial law declared by then president, who's in jail now, and got overridden by the National Assembly, which is the equivalent of Parliament, or whatever name the legislative branch bears in your country. Parliament, I think, Senate, House of Representatives in the U.S. Well, also it got overridden in less than 3 hours, I think. And so it lifted, got cancelled, and the president got impeached because of that. And yeah, martial law out of nowhere. That was why. It was a coup d'etat, basically. Anyways, a failed coup on the president's part. Anyways, so I'm not someone who lives on anniversaries and stuff. I don't try to make much of my own birthday, although because I have a lovely wife, she reminds me of like how precious my birthday is, or I am every birthday. So I'm lucky for that. But reason why I bring that event up. I'm not even like, because it was a huge deal, of course, for most Koreans, and the fact that I was asleep, I slept like a baby through the whole event. It says something about my relationship with like current events and the general society. But how it's cold? Well, the weather's cold outside, and the room I'm sitting in is cold, and that's why I'm wearing an outdoors like thing indoors. I wanted to feel comfortable. Well, I delivered this message because I decided that this is going to be, well, I think these videos will get longer than before. Because I think I found the rhythm. And as I said, I almost abandoned this project. And something among the things that happened yesterday in the middle of the storm, I extracted I extracted a lesson that somehow I need to be doing this. So I was reconsidering all of my commitments. And as I said, I almost abandoned all of them to pursue, to head in this new direction that I hadn't thought of before. Something that popped up randomly, almost seemed like. And the universe was like, no. Your original direction was right. This random popping up was just meant to be a short-lived episode for a day or so. And it's almost like a replay of what happened on a mass scale 1 year ago in Korea. Coup, right? An attempted coup in the form of declared martial law may have looked like it was the direction that the country was heading, but it was very short-lived. Anyways, and I think I'm wearing a long padding, as they're called in Korea. I don't know if that's correct English or not, but I feel like I'm in a middle of a storm, or getting into a storm, and not just any kind, but a very cold, like wintry kind of storm. It's almost like this is the climax. This is the last turmoil, last storm before the calm, before I come out on the other side triumphant. The last shake-up before the breakthrough. And it literally feels that after the whole day yesterday, I feel like I've come to, ironically, although I got, it felt, as I described earlier, like I got blocked by the universe. I got denied what I wanted to try, which is a repeated pattern of trauma for me, because growing up as a child and being under like typical Asian parents, I got so controlled, almost my every move, and I just lived under general like pressure to conform and not step outside of my boundaries. And even when I wanted something more badly enough to speak up, which I don't normally do, and ask for permission or something like that, ask for the resources or ask for what I wanted or what I needed, made a request, I got denied for the stupidest reasons. And that's an anger and despair that's lived with me. So maybe that's, not maybe, I know that's one of the things that were meant to be shed through the whirlpool of an experience that I had yesterday. And so being denied resources is like one huge theme in me that I realized I needed to shed yesterday. So for some of you, this may be helpful, that just because you're denied something now doesn't mean you're like denied long term of anything. So this or something better, to borrow a spiritual cliche. As cliche as it is, well, a cliche is a cliche for a reason, because it strikes a nerve for many people, right? And so to feel that I am cared for in all of my moves, and I'm directed, I'm guided by the universe, I need to make mistakes, right? I need to experience something like me taking on a direction and hitting a dead end. Like literally the universe blocking. Nope, that's not the way. Because I said in an earlier video, it involved a financial component, and the bank or the financial institution changed their policies overnight. That's what happened, and it's gone now. I can't apply for that loan. And so the only way I could make sense of this is I got saved from like a lot of future misery and headache, which may have happened by incurring that loan and like making that investment that I thought I needed to make. And even this failed, aborted attempt, it could be used as a lesson. And actually, I didn't use it. It was like it became the lesson. So my life is it seems like my life is unfolding into an actual lived out experience of these spiritual principles that I know to be true. Although because of how sometimes it seems to be violated out there in the human society, in the modern civilization, I may doubt the truth of those statements from time to time. So for example, the truth that I have in mind right now is life or God can and does use all of the experiences. There is no waste. So even though your past attempts that may have failed, it became the very part of what makes up the you that you now are. And when I say the you now are, it involves the whole being as you, including your body, mind, and soul, all of it. And that is the only thing we carry throughout our lives. And when we leave this body, that's what we're left with. So, from the perspective of the eternal souls, not just this life, but many, many lives. As I said in an earlier video, we are just gathering experiences. And we can't carry any material possession into the afterlife, so called. I can relax into the fact that even if something fails on the material plane, ultimately, from a bigger perspective, it doesn't matter that much. Because it's a short-lived very real illusion. Okay, the illusion or the play that is life, that looks very real, but ultimately not. This is like a movie, as I shared in the, I think, last video. And one of the things I also got reminded is the fact that regardless of the viewership that I'm getting right now, I am needed. My energy is needed, or the message in the form of not just these words, but the energy I carry is very unique. Well, not very unique, because you can't be more unique or less. Unique means there's only one. And the same goes for everyone out there, but yet at the same time, it's very interesting that, well, I need to take my word back. You can be less or more or less unique, or we're all born unique. But the degree of the realization of the uniqueness of us can vary. And for me, life is just a process of a continuous, progressive, gradual realization of the uniqueness that is you. And so in the end, what we are after is the most amount of self-realization as possible. And the self-realization that word is a loaded word. You may have heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and it's a pyramid, and it defines the hierarchy of needs that go from very basic needs like survival needs, and then I think it's belonging, and at the top there's self-realization or self-actualization. Self-actualization has no end. Because ultimately, the self, the real self, is God. And God has no end. No limit. There's no limit to what you can actualize as yourself. Because your self identity, your selfness, your very life comes from God. And the reason for many pauses in this video, I am processing. Well, this is also a form of verbal processing, although a lot of it is already done inside, and that's how I am able to share this in a somewhat coherent manner. So yesterday I got reminded of how right I am, how far seeing I am, and how my initial vision was right. And I just need to persevere to see it through. But my sight is, I'm very farsighted. It's almost like, what's the word? What's the opposite of myopia? Which I have. I'm myopic. But ironically, I'm physically nearsighted, but I'm spiritually farsighted. So I can't, I can only make out the objects on the far distance, and can't predict the near future. That's been almost a curse. I call it, I have the Cassandra curse. So being able to function as a shaman and you know, bridging the worlds, yet I can be clueless at how to live day by day. Doesn't mean I'm clumsy, you know. I develop. I work out every day, at least 5 days a week, weekdays. And yet, my soul still has a difficulty orienting to this denser realm. Although, I supposedly have a lot of experience as a soul. Anyways. Well, that's been the central difficulty in my life and in many of you, older souls who are watching. The difficulty has been what we know to be true as old souls, as souls with rich experiences, was true in other realms, higher ones, and more developed, more advanced ones. Does not work here. And that's the thing. That's what makes it so difficult. Coping with what's going on in this realm. But I know that the general direction, at least, I mean, especially what's happening right now, is this realm is ascending to a higher plane of existence. And so the turmoil out there is a settling process. Purging of the old that may seem to have gone against the higher order. And so my issue has been sticking to it long enough to see things through, to know that I was right all along. And I literally made that video a couple days ago, several days ago. You were right all along. And I knew it. I knew I had value to contribute, and that's why I started this. And when I was almost about to abandon this whole undertaking, I got reminded that I'm needed. Cough break. And even this, my need to clear my throat. It's almost like my old, not my, I need to be careful with the words here. What I used to be, what I'm shedding. Part of the past that I'm shedding now. And the past is not necessarily my past. It's a version adapted to me, or the version that I took on as a soul, but that's a part of the baggage that the human collective carries. So my particular portion of the collective baggage that I took on, knowingly as a soul, and knowing that I would work with this. This is coming into this life knowing that this is what I would be working with, not necessarily working on. I don't like the notion that your soul needs to be worked on. There's something, it can be improved. Like there's a betterment that can take place. There's no value judgment, higher or lower, better or worse, more evolved or not. Well, I guess more evolved, that can work. But more evolved to me just means more whole. Being able to embody more of the magnificence of God. Because as I said, God is everything. God spans everything. So it naturally follows that you're just trying to become like God. That's what self-actualization is. That's what that's the highest need that we all have, and what will eventually pursue, because there will be no other choice. Nothing other than that to keep distracting us. The reason why I'm here in this body and in front of the camera talking to you is so that I could act as a mirror, a reminder of you. And so, interestingly, what I say is secondary to the fact that I'm here putting myself out there so that you can spend some time with me. We need better forms of entertainment. Although I don't know how entertaining I could be. Well, I could be quite entertaining, but like when I'm just being me, I don't know how entertaining that is. Well, I need to, you know, make up my mind, be entertaining intentionally to be entertaining. I don't know. That's neither nor there, but neither here nor there. The reason why I have had some trouble getting my footing around this YouTube project is the gap between where I am right now, and where YouTube is as a platform. So I thought just being me, putting myself out there like this, and it getting scanty views, I thought that was a sign from the universe to abandon this. But I got reminded yesterday that it has been the way in every area of my life. Meaning, I'm so ahead of the time, ahead of my time. And of course, sometimes I'm so much removed from where other people are, where the society is, and so it can bear financial consequences. Meaning, like my earlier business that I had, I got too much into my own world and tried to force my vision too much that it backfired. It imploded. So that was another lesson. Finding a balance between needing to lead, needing to be on the leading edge, the forefront, avant-garde. Although I don't like to be avant-garde, but looks like I can't escape that destiny. I wanted to fit in, but I couldn't. That's been my dilemma. Well, not a dilemma, because there's no other option. The quandary that I've been in from a very young age. I couldn't belong because I wasn't from here. Because strictly speaking, I don't belong here. I'm an outsider, came here to accomplish a certain outcome, a certain mission. And so in order to, well, I'm reminded how I'm being asked to fully own that. So how my life is supposed to unfold will have no parallel on the outside, even in the extreme cases of historic figures. Well, my life could end up being as extreme as those historic figures, but the actual details of how and where that extreme nature plays out It's not up to, like I can't predict. So I need to come to peace with the fact that my life won't have any parallel. It won't look like anything. And that's what's been making me crazy, because my active mind, my highly developed mind, would want to find clues to it wants to soothe itself. My mind wants to soothe itself. It just wants to be told that everything will be okay. But because of my upbringing by inadequate parents, I got no emotional reinforcement of everything will be okay. In fact, not even about the future, my present version got attacked so often. You're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. Which got translated into, if you stay this way, if you keep being like what you are, if you keep being you, you're screwed. So that's the message behind you're not good enough. And needing to run around, try to figure things out, has grown out of that whole message of not being good enough. So not only is that a terrible feeling to be going through when it's being imposed on you, it affects your outlook on life as well. So the subject of self-esteem and just telling yourself, I'm good enough, or just everything will be okay, everything will be okay. I think I just connected two and two together. Those are closely related. So we need to be telling ourselves everything will be okay because I'm good enough. My doubts about the future stems from its roots when we go down to the fundamental level. It has to do with I'm not good enough. And also, we can go back to the past and see it related as well. If we think back to the not so good things that happened to us, we may tend to think bad things happened because I was bad. Because I'm not good enough, bad things happened. So this feeling of not being good enough spans past, present, and future. It can ruin all of our lives in all like three time frames, time dimensions. And the only way we would be saved from, we can disabuse ourselves from the false notion of not being good enough. Is to be shown otherwise through a life experience that is so clear, that can give us such a clear message that we cannot deny our magnificence anymore, our divinity anymore. Because we gathered that false conclusion of not being good enough through the life experience we had on this earth so far, because it is so oppressive against your divine nature. Oops. Just gotta, my camera just picked up this thumbs up. As thumbs up. I wasn't doing that. Anyways. The only remedy, what's the word? The antidote. Okay, that was what I was looking for. The antidote needs to be found in another life experience. So, I guess for some of you, if you don't feel good enough, the only way for you to get out of that would be to keep living and by grace to be shown how magnificent you are. Because here's the key. The me that we don't feel good about, the me that we think could be not good enough, is a false image. It's an idol. It's not real. Because the self, as I said, comes from God. And how can God be not good enough? Not enough of anything. So it's the first false identity, an illusion that you could be not God, not even disconnected from God. This is much closer. What I'm describing. It's not like you're connected to God, because it still has it still can feel like you're separate from God. So this can't be dealt with language alone, words. By definition, words are fragmented and used to fragment. Anyways, I don't have time to go there. Your identity cannot be defined by your mind or yourself. Your identity, your true one, is given by God. And therefore, you did not make yourself. The only way to recognize what you are fully is to be revealed. You need to let it be shown. You can't find it by trying to find it. You may find it because you're shown it. But you can't find it by searching. So if you're going through a difficult time, and thank you if you bear with me all this almost an hour. You can let this be the only reason. If you could let God, you will be shown how magnificent you are, how great you are. You will be shown why you are divine and how. And you can't redeem your life by yourself through your own power. If you could have done it unilaterally, with only you using only your power, you would have done it a long time ago. So the only way to redeem our lives is to let God in and take him, her, it, God, as your own identity. Claim God. Not as your helper, not as your redeemer, because it presupposes that you are still separate. You're a small version of God. Well, in a figure of speech, yes, metaphorically, or like in a way to describe, well, that could be one way to describe things. But ultimately, you need to understand that despite all the bad things that happened, that is not a function of you or God. It is a function of this upside down world. But the storm that is coming, that you may already be in, is putting things right side up. It's just a process of putting right things up, and it is time. It's time that you know who you really are and what you really are. Mic drop. And that's it for today's message. I need to pee. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.